Peace. This is King Noble Black Supremacy, and with this particular video I want to critique the Moorish national, i.e. sovereign citizens movement. Now of course the Moorish national movement is not the exact same thing as the sovereign citizen movement, but a lot of times they are often put together or misunderstood for being the same thing. So people know what I'm talking about, that I'm not specifically talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America, that I'm talking about the Moorish National, which is to some known as the Sovereign Citizen Movement, or the Moorish Sovereignty Movement could be said as well. I could use that, but I like to use Moorish National because I do feel that it is correct, because the individuals that are part of the Moorish Sovereign Citizen Movement, they are Moorish nationals. That is their nationality. They are Moors. So that is correct to say that they are Moorish nationals. They're just for sovereignty. They just are fighting for their sovereign rights against the government or against whoever of which their sovereignty is being contested. I want to make this a critique because I'm not completely against the Moorish national movement or the Moorish sovereignty movement. I'm not against it at all. I think that it is a sincere front and sincere resistance against white supremacy. I think that it may be operating out of a different narrative, but ultimately you have some melanated people that are confronting white supremacy on a daily basis. They're going straight to the beast and challenging them, and challenge jurisdiction, and challenging what authority does this beast have over them as sovereign, aboriginal, and indigenous people. So I can't be against that. I do support any resistance against white supremacy. And right now, a lot of so-called black organizations are spending more time fighting against each other, condemning each other, calling the man on each other, gossiping about each other, spreading rumors and lies and defamation of each other, going back and forth with one another for AdSense, YouTube views, cyber fame, internet thug award, cyber thug award. For whatever reason, most of our black leaders are going at each other, going at each other's neck, trying to embarrass each other online. If they're not doing that, they purely have a capitalistic agenda, and it has nothing to do with confronting and dealing with the forces of white supremacy. So I have to applaud the Moorish national and Moorish sovereign movement, for at least they're going up against the beast. At least they're confronting the beast and confronting the devil. Now, their methodologies might not be the best. It might not be the best strategy, and it may not be the most effective approach, but at least they're willing to go out and do it. And they are fighting on the right front, not against our own people, but against the devil, against white supremacy, and against the system itself. They're literally going up against the system. So they're doing more than most in the so-called conscious community. They're doing way more than most of them. This is a fact. They're not distracted. They know who the enemy is, and they're confronting and dealing with that enemy who is really trying to limit their freedoms and literally subject them. So once again, I'm not against the Moorish national or Moorish sovereignty movement. I'm just offering critiques, and I'm just adding a little bit of the true sincerity or the true religious fervor of the Moorish movement, of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali, which I myself am a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Grand Temple number 1 under Braswell E. Bay. I have never denounced that just because I identify or understand myself to be a black supremacist. I have not given up my Moorish nationality, and I will continue to maintain. I think that you can be both. I think you can be both. I think you can identify yourself in any ways that our melanated people have identified themselves since the beginning of time, that we can wear all those hats. They all belong to us, because they're all our people that are wearing these different hats. And if our people are doing it, it is somewhat representative and a reflection of us. So I will continue to identify myself as a Moor because I have rich history and rich legacy and a very serious connection to the Moorish movement. So I want to bring some of that into this particular video, some of that experience. Now, with the Moorish sovereignty and Moorish national movement, my first critique is, are they really following the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Are they really following Noble Drew Ali? Let's see. A lot of times when these Moors are pulled over at traffic stops, they consider themselves to be Moorish nationals and to be a part of having a Moorish enlightenment, a Moorish awakening as to who they are. This is what they would have to be. If you claim yourself a Moor and you have respect and honor for the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, then you have to go back to the Prophet with everything that you're doing. Keep it Drew Ali. Keep it Prophet. Keep it Prophet Noble. Don't deviate from that to cater to them Europeans or to go off the European demonstration. And I think that separates the Moorish science from what Johnny Liberty and the white sovereign citizenship movement has contributed. I think there's a great distinction. There's a line between what Noble Drew Ali brought and what the Moorish and what the sovereign citizens, what the Moorish nationals have adapted of the sovereign citizenry movement. Clear distinction. So if you're calling yourself a Moorish national, be clear on this distinction. When you're stopped by the police, you sign documents, you sign papers, and you comply with the officers, with what you consider the de facto government, the color of the law. These fraudulent corporate imposters, you comply with them, and you say you are doing it under stress, duress, and coercion. This is your affirmation. You're saying this affirmatively, that I'm only doing it under stress, duress, and coercion. That's an affirmation that you're saying to them. Now, stress, duress, and coercion, which all means fear. And I'll look them up for you within this video, but I'll just shorten it for you. They all mean you're afraid. You're afraid of the Europeans, you're afraid of the police, you're afraid of the corporations. You are in a state of fear, stress, duress, and coercion. But now let's look at the Moorish Americans who follow Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, of which I follow. I stand on the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. Moors are men, upright, independent. That means we are independent of white supremacy. We are independent of the corporations. We are independent of their system. We are independent of other nations and other people and other groups. Moors are upright, independent, and fearless. That means we don't have any fear. So we can never be under stress, duress, or coercion because we don't fear anybody. Moors are upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the Prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. So you don't have no fear if you're following the Prophet to a destiny that is not uncertain or unknown. So you don't fear anything because your destiny is not uncertain or unknown. You put your hand in Allah's hand and all is well. All is truly well. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The 5 pillars of Islam. They are fortified by that. And it is therefore folly at its greatest height for the smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realms. So the Moors are fearless, independent, and fearless. So they could never be under stress, duress, or coercion. So you got to stop saying that. If you are a Moor, if you're following the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you can't be out there telling the devil you afraid, telling these Europeans you afraid and you in a state of fear. This is not the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. We are not. We have zero fear. We are upright, independent, and fearless, who care for our loved ones, and we will follow the Prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. So let's go back here. Let's look up stress, duress, and coercion. Let's start with stress. Bear with me. Bear with me. What is stress? What is stress? Stress is an intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about a situation. Fast heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating, and even a feeling of tiredness may occur. So stress is being in a state of worry and fear. Okay, let's look that up. Let's go a little further, because that was somewhat of a medical definition. Stress is pressure, tension. Okay. Tension exerted on a material object. Okay, stress. A state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Fear. Let's go to this. Let's look up duress. Duress is threats, violence, constraints, or other actions brought to bear on someone to do something against their will or better judgment. So to be threatened is to be made afraid. Somebody can threaten someone, they are intending to make you afraid. But if you're fearless, they can't make you afraid, so they cannot threaten you. So you couldn't be under a threat if you're fearless. There's no way you could be under duress, threatened. You're not worried about violence, constraints, or actions brought to bear against you. You're fearless of all that. You just want to stand on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, period. Let's go on to the next one. Coercion. See, the Prophet didn't bring these terminologies as you were considering yourself to be a Moorish nationalist. The Prophet never told you to say these things, or never told you to act out of these energies or these vibrations, these frequencies. What is coercion? Coercion is the use of expressed or implied threats of violence, reprisal, or other intimidating behavior that puts a person in immediate fear of the consequences in order to compel that person to act against his or her will. The defense that one acted under. Coercion. So in coercion wants to put you in immediate fear of the consequences. So with coercion, we're dealing with fear and we're dealing with consequences. Now, fear and consequences. Now, how could you have fear of consequences when Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless? They're fearless, so you cannot have fear. Who care for their loved ones and follow the Prophet to a destiny which is not certain or unknown. They are fortified. Okay, so if you're fearless and you're following the Prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain or unknown, then you know what the consequences are. The consequences are you ending up at that destiny which is not uncertain or not unknown. So you can have fear of the consequences if you know the destiny that you're going to end up at. You know where your destiny is leading. You know where this is going. You know that Allah is supreme. You know that. So you couldn't have fear of a consequences. So you couldn't be intimidated or threatened. So it would be easier for you to stand completely on your square if you was following the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So there's a line that distinguishes these white supremacist sovereignty teachings from the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And that if you had the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali in you, then your stance would be different, your walk would be different, your position would be different. You could not be moving in fear and living in a state of fear and anxiety, under stress, duress, and coercion. It's no way you could be out there as a follower of Noble Drew Ali and be in a state of fear of the European. If you backed by Allah, how do you have fear? Why are you in a state of fear? Why are you fearing anyone? Know thyself in Allah. This is a fact. So I had to touch on that. These people that are calling themselves Moorish nationals are either not dealing with the teachings of Noble Drew Ali and just calling themselves Moors. And they are Moors, so it's fine to call themselves Moors because we're Moors irregardless. That's just what we are. We are what our forefathers are without doubt or contradiction. So we are Moors. And you don't have to be a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America to be a Moor. But if you want to understand what being a Moor is and the power of being a Moor, the authority of a Moor, the stance of a Moor, if you want to understand that, then it behooves you to study the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali for real and get in them teachings. And that's a weapon. That's a powerful weapon against this European. When you're fortified by the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. I had to go in on that. You ain't going to be driving around in fear of nobody. You're not going to be driving around in fear. And you will be independent and upright. This is a fact. Had to touch on that. Just a critique. I see what you Moors are doing with the national movement, with the sovereignty movement. I see it, and like I said, I think any resistance against oppression is good resistance. A lot of people talking and want to have plans and want to debate. And nobody wants to confront the subjugation that they're attempting to oppose on the indigenous, aboriginal, and original people of the earth. And I see you Moors are doing it. I see you Moors, sovereign citizens, for lack of a better word, Moorish nationals are doing it. But you got to put the prophet behind what you're doing. You have to put the energy and the spirit of Prophet Noble Drew Ali behind you. The zeal of Noble Drew Ali needs to be implemented and activated within inside of what you're doing. And I guarantee you'll stand up against these Europeans in a way that you could never have imagined. That your stance against them would be so perfect. It'll be that 7 for real. It'll be that 7. I self-Lord Master. It's King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleblacksupremacy.com. Donate and don't hate.